Welcome to the Huddle Within podcast, where we go beyond the surface to uncover the real impact of sports on our lives, whether it's lessons of resilience, the passion that fuels us, or the stories that connect us all. This is where the game gets personal. I am Daniel, a regular sports fan just like you, and together we'll explore what sports truly means beyond the surface. So step right into the huddle and let's get into it. What is going on, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Huddle Within podcast. We have reached double figures, episode 10, which is super exciting. I'm really glad I got to the double figures mark. Obviously, it's still early in the podcast journey, but getting to 10 episodes is no steep feat. So really happy to be here. Glad you guys have been continuing to listen to all the content. Really hope you have been thoroughly enjoying the content so far. And again, if there's anything you'd love me to talk about, please feel free to leave a comment, message me on my socials, and let me know exactly what you'd like to talk about. As you can see, over the past 2 or 3 episodes, I've been wearing the Huddle Within merch. So THW here. And then you can see on the little top corner, I've got a nice little studio comment there of the Huddle Within. So just trying to get the brand out there. I've got hoodies available. I've also got t-shirts available. So if you are keen for one, send me a DM. I'm not making money off them, I promise. I'm selling them for how much I get them for. Just want people to get the name out there and kind of get that out. So I've got obviously at the back, I'm not going to turn around and show you, but my handle is there as well. The Spotify, YouTube, and what's the last one? Instagram handle, all being obviously the same. So if you haven't been on those social platforms, feel free to also jump onto those as well. And follow me on those. And I guess continue to stay on the journey with me. I'm planning to get more guests. I know you guys love guests, but obviously want to put out these individual episodes as well as much as I can, so I can bring out some different content. Trying to just get more ideas and seeing what you guys like, and then building the podcast as we go week by week. So 10th episode, awesome to be here, super excited, and I've been loving just sitting here in my room and essentially just talking shit about sports and going into stuff that I'm really passionate about. And this is another topic that I have a lot of passion for. As you guys know, I have a bit of a football background. A lot of what we've been talking about has been a lot of basketball / football related. So we're continuing on that train. I hope to get exploratory in other sports as well in the future. Just need to probably broaden my knowledge and find some guests to help bounce ideas off there. But this week's episode is going to be about football transfers and how they can essentially make or break footballers. So a transfer can normally turn a player into a legend, but it can also make them a forgotten name. So why do some players in certain clubs succeed and thrive, and why do a lot of other players fail and basically become transfer flops? And I think the topics that we're going to break down in each episode are going to be essentially the key factors behind those. We're going to try to relate to the most recent examples, try to keep this relevant between 2024, 2025. We may also incorporate a few other older transfers as well, just to get your memories refreshed, and ones that are probably most notably famous and notorious for there. The emotional, mental, and personal challenges we face after moving to clubs. I think people don't really talk about that too much. We're very much in this world, again, with that surface level approach, to just see and label a person as a flop or a person that's not doing well, but we fail to kind of look at that side, that deep side about it, and not realize what these athletes are going through. So that's something that I really want to address. And also what us fans, clubs, and players should also understand about transfers too. Hopefully I'm able to kind of teach you a few things, or probably learn something that I kind of see on my side, and maybe that might change your perspective, or that might also relate to what you're thinking as well. So definitely an open forum, open to interpretation, but obviously want to get that out there. So I think we can get started straight away and kind of first just address like the two sides of the transfers. So obviously, we're going to start with a success story and then obviously a struggle story from this season. Two notable transfers that I like to talk about is probably the Julian Alvarez one first as a major success story. It takes a big ballsy decision to leave a club like Manchester City, who have won basically 3 of the last 4 Premier League titles, also won the Champions League, have been a dominating force. To leave that club of such high stature to move to Atletico Madrid was a big ballsy move for Alvarez, and they paid a lot of money for him to go there as well. You can tell that because of him leaving, it was due to obviously the playing time. So Alvarez wasn't getting a lot of minutes on the pitch. He decided to take his talents to Atletico Madrid, where he had the opportunity to be the main striker and starting number 9. So he made the move, and he's adapted very well to Diego Simeone's system. And a lot of factors probably contribute to this. I would like to firstly say the opportunity to be able to play 90 minutes and be the main striker. Obviously, Manchester City have Erling Haaland, who is probably one of the most prolific goal scorers we've ever seen in the history of the game as a striker, and being so young. It would have been very hard for Alvarez to break into the starting lineup on a regular basis and play significant minutes. There were times where obviously he was playing with Haaland as a 4-4-2 with 2 strikers up front, but that wasn't going to be something long term. So he moved to Atletico, to a country where it's Spanish speaking. He is Argentinian, so that would have probably helped a lot. And also under Diego Simeone, who is also an Argentinian coach, he was able to adapt really well with the system. And speaking on the system, Manchester City obviously plays such a strong possession type, discipline type of game. With Simeone doing the same thing, but on the contrary, on the complete opposite, their team likes to pounder off counter attacks and sit very defensive and play on a basically 4-4 block with essential counter attacks after that. So any opportunity Alvarez gets is essentially basically from a counter attack, not really much build up play. So that very much suited his system. He obviously thrived in that and was able to, cement his spot in Atletico Madrid starting 11 and also as one of their main strikers. And I got to give credit to him. I think a big transfer like that can obviously go the wrong way, given the fact that he would have left a good opportunity in Manchester City. A lot of people were saying, why would he decide to leave? Why would he make that decision when he's got it perfect at City? He managed to back himself, get out of that situation, and decide to take matters into his own hands and lead the front force at Atletico Madrid. And it looks as though that has paid dividends because he is scoring on a regular basis. He's also in the title contentions at the moment. Unfortunate to get out of the Champions League with that double touch stitch up penalty. I just feel for Atletico. They can't get past Real Madrid in Champions League. But again, still being competitive in La Liga and playing a massive role there. And you never know, that might lead to a bigger team in the future, or he might just stay and become an Atletico Madrid legend. And that's no steep feat either. So credit to Alvarez there. And then on the contrary, a struggle story that we're going to address is the transfer of Dominic Solanke. He's moved to Tottenham. And it was a big money move. Bournemouth cashed in the money to get him sold and sent to Tottenham, and he became the number 9 for them as well. And he has struggled to score. Yes, he's a very hard worker. He presses really well for the Spurs, but hasn't been able to score many goals, and that's been a major struggle for him. And I think it's something that is a bit difficult to say. I think the pressure of maybe going to a top 6 team, the fact that Tottenham aren't really performing as a team, it's not entirely his fault, but he's definitely struggling there. We can also contribute that to, I guess, the media in England as well, them being extremely strict and, I guess, very critical of performances, especially England strikers too. But again, I don't think he's been overly bad. I think that the system and the performances haven't helped, and the fact that he hasn't been scoring has put a lot of pressure on Dominic Solanke as well. And that price tag does play a big part in that. And just to talk about price tags, when you're talking of transfers of over 60 or $70 million, which is what basically both of these players got bought for, there's already that pressure that you need to perform. And that's not even because of them. They don't have control over how much money they're actually meant to be sold. This is based on the club's valuation and how they're perceived as players and as assets to another club. So they're essentially business moves. So if you're selling a player, you obviously want to make as much money as you can from them because they're in contract. And if you're a team that's buying the player, you're obviously investing a lot of money. So that pressure comes. A lot of fans obviously get frustrated with players that don't meet up to the expectations of their worth. But at the same time, it's really hard to knock a player on that because they never really ask for their fee to be that. They're just playing out their contract. They obviously, Solanke wants to seek a better move, being able to play in the top 6 team, and as well as Julian Alvarez, who wants to play first team football. But you can see kind of the differences here. One being that Alvarez probably went to a lesser club, but gone into his new culture, adapted into the Spanish-speaking language, and was able to thrive. Whereas Dominic Solanke moved up, elevated, went back to a top 6 club who actually is not performing like a top six club, is struggling. You got the English media that criticize players for the fun of it, and the pressure and expectations to help Tottenham get past that kind of stereotype of not winning trophies or not being able to be a consistent top six or top four side. Makes that very difficult. And I think before criticizing Solanke, I think a lot of people need to really realize that when like discussing transfers as well. So continuing on to, I think, what makes a transfer successful, getting out of kind of the real life examples, I think the main thing is to realize that the player really needs to fit well into the system. And the ones that most likely do fit into the system are the ones that succeed. Liverpool do a really good job in buying players that are best suited to their system. And sometimes it doesn't take the first season to do that. It might take a few seasons to get there. So the biggest example is being Gravenberch. He came in from Bayern Munich, was struggling to get playing time there, made a move to Liverpool, really struggled in his first season, but he was playing more of an 8 to 10, which was forcing him to be a lot more creative. And now, given that Slot has come in, and that's probably helped too with the coach, he embedded a new system and basically turned Gravenberch into a number 6 and has become one of the best defensive midfielders this season in the Premier League, causing Liverpool to essentially have one hand on the trophy at the moment. And you can see how much Gravenberch is thriving in this new role as a 6. And sometimes it takes the right coach and the right system for a player to thrive. And we can't. It's hard to say you can blame Klopp on that. Maybe it's just a new season and a new system, but he's definitely thriving under a new coach in Arne Slot, and that also might be because of the fact that they are both Dutch as well. But again, he's getting the best out of the player based on his system, based on the system that he plays, and based on the chemistry they have as well. We also see a lot of players that don't adapt to systems as well when they come into a new team. The biggest example is Jadon Sancho, especially at Chelsea. Obviously, we know about him at United being a flop. His confidence was through the roof. He had a lot of social media issues. There was a big price tag that was under his name. But even being at Chelsea and trying to rejuvenate his career, he is really struggling to fit into the team at the moment. And it's something that obviously has got to do with the system, the way that Enzo plays as well. But also his own personal and mental struggles too. But system is something that's extremely important. Jadon Sancho is obviously very good on the counter attack. It's where we saw him at best with Dortmund. Chelsea, obviously being a top side, don't really play that counter attacking football. They like to keep possession a bit more. It's kind of similar to how City play. Obviously, Enzo being a part of the club when he was the assistant coach there. They like to play a bit more disciplined with possession and trying to obviously break down teams. I don't think Sancho is that type of player to do that, hence why he's struggling there. And then there's a whole nother story for what he's doing and why he's struggling at United too. But I think that's something that affects basically his game and why he's probably struggling as well. There's also that, again, as mentioned, the pressure, expectation, and transfer team fees, the weight of the big money transfers, as we mentioned. And we've seen players actually being able to handle this, like Julian Alvarez, but also the pressure of Harry Kane, who's been striving at Bayern Munich at the moment. He's handled the pressure really well. I know there's a lot of expectations from an English player to come into a new league and perform, especially given that Harry Kane has scored so many goals for Tottenham. He's been able to rectify that and continue to score a lot of goals for Bayern Munich. And hopefully for his sake, he'll finally win a trophy and be rewarded for that. But yeah, he's done a really good job. And again, Anthony is probably one of the most biggest examples there, where he was bought for 120 odd mil. I think it was 100 million pounds or somewhat. And he really struggled at United. United has shown in the past that they aren't able to really hit on transfers. And sometimes a lot of people blame the players for coming in. But I think at the same time, you have to put accountability into the team, into the system, into the recruitment for not getting the right players based on the system, one. And two, not being able to adapt these players and give these players a chance. Anthony has been copying a lot of abuse since arriving at United, and I think half the reason is because of his price tag, not really because of the player he is. If people were criticizing him for how he played, I can understand that, but if you take away the price tag from him, he wouldn't get as much criticism as he has. Now, he's made a loan move to Real Betis, and he is absolutely killing it. He's been on the score sheet, getting assists. There's been no criticism on his end. It feels like he's playing with much passion, much more freedom. And the culture does help a lot. He's obviously not Spanish speaking, but I think being in Spain with a little bit better weather, Spanish and Portuguese speakers more common there, in contrast to England, where it's just English, has definitely helped him a lot there as well. Another example, again, when I mentioned patience, was one, Gravenberch, but two was also Moises Caicedo. When he first signed for Chelsea, he was bought for 115 million, and his confidence was affected early on. But once he was given time and he stick by the process, he showed why his price tag is essentially worth it, and he's doing pretty good for Chelsea as well. I think the key question here is mainly looking at if clubs actually overpay players and if they put them in impossible situations. And I think definitely the transfer market is inflated with prices, and I think it does affect a lot of players. But at the same time, this is how it is. And I think in the end, there's going to be players that adapt and the players that do well. And then in the contrast, players that don't do as good either. That's normal. I think the thing that we got to realize and understand is that when it does happen, it's really hard to just blame the player itself and abuse them. Yes, they're in control of their performances, but there are so many factors that come to why a player doesn't uh, perform. And that also comes to what I'm going to be mentioning again is the team chemistry and the locker room dynamics as well. There is pretty much a lot of culture issues at certain clubs. Obviously, United, I can talk about all the time. The ownership groups, the budgets, the pricing, the coaching, the youth, everything that's associated with the club hasn't been good for over 10 years now. So it's really hard for a player to come in and thrive. There isn't any big name leaders at the club. There's no one that sits there and holds people accountable. Back in the day, you had players like Rio Ferdinand, Nemanja Vidic, and before that, Roy Keane, you had Eric Cantona, you had the class of 92. Those players were able to mentor and guide the new players to come in and be successful, most notably Cristiano Ronaldo and some few other players as well in the future too. So those are some examples of where I think a veteran or like a good leadership group is extremely important. And yeah, I think it was just hard for any United player to come in because there's no real leaders at the club at the moment. But if you look at Arsenal, you see Declan Rice coming into their system. It seems as though they had a very good structure and a point in place for him to succeed and really integrate himself seamlessly. With a lot of leaders as well, with Gabriel and William Saliba. Obviously, they're young, but they're still leaders at heart, being stable at the back. You have Mikel Arteta, who's an excellent coach. You have Odegaard, who's rejuvenated his career after leaving Real Sociedad, becoming basically one of the main players at Arsenal and the captain as well. It just made sense for Declan Rice to come in and succeed, on top of the fact that he is an extremely good footballer, done so many things for England as well. But you can see with players like Mason Mount, who is unbelievable and an extremely good player, is struggling to build chemistry and find his place in the team. And albeit there is some injury problems that also factor into that as well. But we'll talk about that, I guess, later on, because that is something that I do want to bring up too. The next point is the mentality and confidence. So different players who rise and fall under pressure. We've got Nico Barella that's potentially going to move to a new club. We're going to see whether he thrives or not. It does depend on how he's performing at the moment. Jadon Sancho is one that's a big example. He had the chance to, have a big confidence boost leaving to a club, but he wasn't able to kind of bounce back from that. But now we've got the most recent example of Marcus Rashford, who is signed for Aston Villa on loan and is looking like an extremely different player. Sometimes it is the mentality and confidence from a manager or from a new situation that makes you thrive and perform better. So there are times where a player is struggling at a certain club. They leave, like Anthony and like a lot of United players, go to another club and seem to have their confidence and ability back. And that's something that is a big factor when it comes to how players thrive as well. There's certain times where there's a coach or a system or even a fan base that back you, that give you that confidence for you to perform. And I think a lot of people don't fail to realize that how mentality and confidence is super important on the pitch, because when you're confident, when you're feeling good, you're obviously going to perform better. And that's dependent on so many factors, whether the people believe in you inside the club, whether even the people outside of you believe in you. So I'm pretty sure there hasn't been too much abuse to Marcus Rashford from Aston Villa fans. They're very much backing and supporting him while he's there. And it seems that that's showing like waves for Rashford. Like he's extremely confident now. He looks like the United player that I remembered when he first signed for the club, and that one season with Ten Hag. He's very much a confidence player, and that's been helping him so much as well. So I think people that are able to have that mentality will be able to succeed, obviously, in football as well. There are also natural players that are able to thrive under all sorts of pressure. You can see Jude Bellingham has balls of steel at the moment. He's got no nerves. He's just signed to one of the biggest clubs in the world, being England's kind of top tier player, someone that has been under pressure his whole life. He moved from Birmingham to Dortmund at 17 for $40 million or euros. And it just seemed like he was born to be a star. You go to Dortmund, seamlessly fitted into the team, was incredible. And now at Real Madrid, he's pretty much one of the main players. And you can see that he does thrive under pressure. He even took the number 5, which was famously Zinedine Zidane's number. It's normally obviously a centre back number, but he's taken that number because of the confidence he has, and he has shown that he still has that confidence, being one of the main players at Real Madrid, especially considering they have a plethora of stars, showing that he just is able to thrive under pressure. And that's sometimes those type of players are just born to do that. Like Ronaldo has been that type of player. Zlatan has also been that type of player. They just seem to have this aura and confidence about them that it doesn't matter which club or which situation or how much money they're bought and sold for, they're able to continue to thrive. And then you've got players that do struggle outside of the comfort zone, the ones that we've just mentioned as well, and also players that they can't really break into that confidence because the stage is probably too big for them or the pressure is too high for them. So there's definitely the contrary there, and it's definitely different factors as we keep mentioning as well. This one's a bit of a tough one as well. The injuries and fitness challenges. This is something that is extremely unfortunate. A lot of players do get signed and they're unable to essentially play or be the player that they were because of injuries. I think one big example is Nkunku from Chelsea. He basically got injured after signing with Chelsea and he hasn't been able to impact the game. We have seen in flashes when he's fit and when he's playing, he has been able to impact, score goals, and do really good things. He did that at Leipzig, but ever since that injury, he's been unable to get some consistent football going, and it's really hindered his performance. Another example is also Mason Mount. Me personally, I still think there's a player in Mason Mount. It's just extremely unfortunate that he hasn't been able to get on the pitch and be consistent. And also the fact that United has these chemistry issues and deep rooted problems, it hasn't really done him a service there. So I think injuries do play a big part as well. Hazard as well, when he was thriving at Chelsea, went to Real Madrid, there was obviously a lot of expectations and pressure from him, but injuries really affected his game and he wasn't able to perform. So I think people need to really take a slack off players that just are unable to get fit because of sudden injuries. A player doesn't wish or expect injuries. They always want to go out there and play and prove to the fans that they're good enough and prove that their price tag is justified. So when that does happen, I think we need to take a step back and really kind of feel sorry or feel a bit of empathy for them because, yeah, they do want to obviously go out there and perform for their teams. Injuries just really affect that as well. And the one that probably of the last that we're going to probably bring up is the culture and lifestyle adjustments. So I did mention how Julian Alvarez left Manchester City and went to a Spanish-speaking country with an Argentinian manager and was able to thrive and immerse in his role. There are also players that end up struggling that come on the opposite spectrum, come to the Premier League and aren't able to adapt and are struggling. You can see one of the biggest examples is Darwin Núñez from Liverpool. For those that obviously meme Darwin Núñez and give him a lot of strife, there is flashes where he performs really well and he impacts the team. He's obviously not confident in front of goal, but people have to understand that one, his price tag was huge, so there was already additional pressure on him, and two, he's really struggling with the culture here. He's still unable to speak English. The weather is completely different. He probably hasn't been near his family. He's probably away from what he knows. So coming into a new environment has been a shock for him. And don't be surprised if he does leave Liverpool and goes to a Spanish speaking country, he'll be able to thrive and perform. And don't quote me on it, but I think when you're with your culture, when you understand like your life, your people. I'm just gonna fix my camera up because for some reason it's a bit blurry. I'm sorry, guys. Yeah, there we go. I think that's a lot better. I really hope that when we record this, it doesn't be blurry. But anyways, I fixed it up. What was I saying? So yeah, Darwin Nunes in England is unable to well not unable, but it was struggling to adapt to the English culture. if he was to be with his own culture, I think he would be a lot more. It would be a lot more of an easy transition. So I think time with Nunes is important. If Liverpool fans are willing to be patient, because I think there is a player in him, and I think that culture is something that is extremely impactful for especially a lot of players that these guys are from South America. They're leaving to cold, rainy England in the biggest league in the world. It is an extremely difficult league to adapt to, and it's an extremely different culture and situation to what most of these players are used to. So it is really, really hard to do that. So I think it's a bigger challenge than we think, especially being a professional, young player that have to leave their home, their families, as mentioned before, their livelihoods, what they know, and adapt to a new environment is something that probably doesn't get talked enough. And you can see that definitely with Darwin Nunes. On the contrary, you see Declan Rice being able to adapt perfectly because he's obviously moved from West Ham to another London club and obviously has the backing from his fans. He hasn't needed to leave too far to go to another club. He's obviously gone to a better club, so he's able to get the best out of himself playing with better players. But he hasn't needed to go to the opposite side of the world where he can't speak English or they can't speak English. He's come like right next to West Ham and joining Arsenal, and you can see him really thriving there. We're going to continue on. So I think we've pretty much covered, yeah, most of I guess players of how they struggle and different kind of yeah the sides of transfers. But we're going to look more into the psychological aspect of it as well. So it's not always just about football. Again, people leave their teammates, their friends, and family. Harry Kane leaving Spurs for 20 plus years would have been such a hard move. Obviously, he's doing well, but that's something that uh, took into a big effect for him. You've got like the criticism from fans and reactions. So some players that come to clubs are welcomed as heroes, and then when they come, they're obviously praised and they're doing so well. And then when other players come in, they're bought for a high price. They're already criticized the minute they step foot into the club before playing a game. So there's already that expectation of pressure. You saw that with Declan Rice when he came. He was welcomed in with praise and honor, and he deserves that. I'm not saying that he doesn't deserve it, but his transition was a lot easier in comparison to a player like Anthony for Man United or Moises Caicedo, who already has a big price tag on them. And as soon as they probably have a bad game, they're going to criticize them for not performing well. So I think it's just a bit unfair. I think there is an English bias associated with that as well. So something to consider too. A lot of the homegrown talent and players don't get as much criticism as the players that come from different countries and have higher price tags. So something to look out for as well. Modern transfers always also come with the online scrutiny, as mentioned. So the media already want to play narratives and put these players down before even stepping on the pitch, which is something that I think is extremely unfair. It's used to create clicks, it's used to create links, to create controversy, and that just adds extra unnecessary pressure to a player who's already wanting to succeed and do well for the club. And then you have to add the media that's involved. And you can say that that comes with being a professional footballer as well. And I'm not saying that it shouldn't come with that, but people just need to, when they do criticize or when they do put out an article or say something, if you put yourself in their shoes and you just kind of be a human for one bloody second, you'll understand that it's still difficult and some players need more time than others as well. I think some players, have that personality, as we mentioned, like Jude Bellingham, and then others just struggle, like even Romelu Lukaku, who in multiple transfers wasn't able to be the player he was. He had that confidence in Italy, but was unable to do that and rectify that same confidence in England. And then towards his later career, he even struggled with other clubs as well. So I think that pretty much wraps up the transfers there. I think basically on the fans engagement, I would love to ask, which transfers do you think will succeed and fail in the future, and which ones this season do you think were the case as well? Obviously, there's been a lot of interesting transfers this season. The Premier League has been extremely interesting. The La Liga has been pretty fiery as well. Bundesliga looks to be a clear winner, but again, teams have been competing on a regular basis. So we're going to see a lot of transfers in the future, and it'll just be, I guess, interesting to hear your thoughts on which new players will struggle. If you think there are players that are going to move, like for example, Gokares, who is basically been linked to like half the world and half the clubs. How do you think he's gonna go in a new club? I would love to hear your thoughts and opinions as well. But yeah, this has been another quick episode of the Huddle Within. I hope you guys really enjoyed the content here, talking about the transfers as why they make a break. Again, it's been a pleasure coming back. We're on episode 10 now. Hopefully, we can get 10 times that and hit 100 as well, or even 1,000, and just non-stop. Continue to grow this podcast and bring out the content for you guys. And don't forget to have a look at my Instagram, Sus the Huddle merch. This hoodie, honestly, so warm. Really nice, like the logo there, the embodied print. Shout out to 24/7 Media for putting these hoodies on for me and adding the print to that as well. As mentioned, I've got the tag at the back as well. So if you take it to the shops, if you take it to the gym, if you take it to wherever you take it, being that it's going to be winter in Australia, the tag will be there. Hopefully people can see it. And if anyone asks, you can tell them that it's your mate's podcast or it's someone that you just came across as well. It'd be really appreciated. I'd feel really appreciated if you did that as well. Again, these hoodies, I don't make any money off them. I simply just want you guys to wear it and just flex the brand around and get the word out there. Because I really enjoyed putting out this content, and I really hope this content finds the right people. And again, still want to kind of just build a community. That's the main thing, where we can just talk about sport on a deeper level, help us like go through our lives, emphasize how good sport fandom is, talk about topics that are not normally addressed as well. So again, I really love your input, guys. I really would love for you guys to give me as many topics as you want to talk about, anything that comes to your brain and mind that you think that's never been spoken about before on a podcast, or that's something that I think you can cover or I can cover for you. It's like whatever comes to your mind. And sometimes we might just have just fun conversations as well. I want this to be very casual as well. It doesn't just have to be me always spinning out these. Obviously, I bring guests on, but I'd love to have a random on as well, someone that is listening as well, that wants to be part of this podcast and just have a chat with me as well. And yeah, my line's always open. My socials are open too. So open to your feedback, open to really anything that will help this podcast grow and will make this listen worthy for you guys and make you feel like coming back every single Wednesday. And that's what we aim to do. Episodes every single Wednesday for those that have just come into the Huddle Within, who've just stumbled upon it. Welcome to the Huddle. I hope you guys stay in the Huddle and continue to enjoy the content as well. But again, this has been Daniel, the host of the Huddle Within podcast. I will catch you guys on next week's episode as we discuss probably another topic or have another guest. We'll have to wait and see for that. Cheers. So that's a wrap for this week's episode of the Huddle Within podcast. I appreciate you for tuning in and being part of this community where we go beyond the game and into what really matters. If this episode resonated with you, make sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who sees sports just the way that we do. And hey, I'd love to hear from you. Connect with me on my social medias, which will be linked below. Send in your thoughts and even be part of a future episode. Until next time, keep that passion alive, stay in the huddle, and remember, it's always deeper than the game. Cheers.